F1 has been cooking lately, with many different races having many different winners, and even though Max is still likely to win the title, at least the season isn't boring. So, how did Hungary go? Was the race good, or are we back to boring races? Well, it was alright, and the race did have some controversy, so there was enough to eat. So after Hungary, we only have one more race until the dreaded summer break comes around, and I also have to start college again, which means I stop having fun and I start having depression again. So, enough of that, and let us discuss the winners and losers of this year's Hungarian Grand Prix. As always, losers first, and we have good old Checo Perez. I mean, what do you guys want me to say? It's the same old story, promising Friday, bottle Saturday, and mid-Sunday. It really is unfortunate since every weekend he's just ruining his legacy, and I just want him to retire with dignity since he needs to accept that his time is done, and I can only hope for the best for him in the future. So I guess all we gotta say now is, congratulations to Yuki Tsunoda for the Red Bull seat. Or Danny Rick if they're really dumb. Next, we have Alpine, and talk about a bottle. When the track and quali was starting to dry, they for some reason kept both of their drivers in the pits, and of course they qualified 19th and 20th. But bottle or not, they did not have pace this weekend, but to be fair, that's the story of their season, so there's really not much to say about them. So, moving on. Next up is George Russell, and yikers. He had pace, but around this track, you need a good quali or a really mean spirit to make up positions from the back, and unfortunately for Russell, he did not have either and failed to have a good race this weekend, which sucks since Mercedes' run of form was great, but now it has half ended since Lewis was actually pretty decent. Can't really blame Georgia though, the team did him no favors, just unfortunate. Moving on, we have Haas, and after a great run of form, they have fallen again, and it's unfortunate. After bringing upgrades to keep them ahead in the midfield, they seem to have been outdeveloped. But nevertheless, they did not exactly have a great weekend, but at least they're not jokes anymore, so there's that. Next up is Max. Crash out, that's all I gotta say. Car was bad though, so I don't blame him. Finally, we have Zhou, and this weekend in particular was not the best look for him. He was slow all weekend and was almost forgotten about for me since he was just nowhere in his own little realm in the back, and in a perfect world, he does not keep his seat. However, the money, so he is going to be here next year. Now, on to the winners, and first up, we have Oscar Piastri, and he finally got his first win, and I'm so happy for him since nothing controversial happened at all. Jokes aside, he had a good weekend and the race was even better, and this season is just delivering more and more. Oscar managed a good race, had a great quali, and overall had an amazing weekend, so good job to our most recent race winner. Moving on, we have Williams again, since just like in Silverstone, they cooked. Maybe not to the same degree, but cooked nevertheless. I'm so happy seeing Logan do better than he was at the start of the season, since his performances are starting to look like a Formula 1 driver's, and even though points weren't scored and he did drop back towards the end, he could still be happy because he is not last anymore. And Alex did good as well, but we know how good he is, so overall a great weekend again for Williams. Next up is Aston Martin, and after looking like another upgrade package was a downgrade, they actually performed, and both Alonso and especially Stroll were great this weekend. I want to highlight Stroll though, since he was on the pace and sometimes even ahead of Alonso, and this is the Stroll I like. So now it's only a matter of time before he's annoying again. Update, result and strategy weren't that good, and there was a team order controversy with them too, so great timing guys. Next, we have Lewis Hamilton, and talk about a humble king. Everyone is killing each other around him, and somehow, he kept his cool and got what he could, which is a podium. So, I'm giving Lewis 2 trophies for keeping his cool and having a good race. If only more drivers could be as calm as him. Finally, we have Yuki Tsunoda, since considering what happened to Checo this weekend, Yuki may be looking at a very nice seat there. It was a great weekend by him, and while he did have that crash in quali, he made up for it in the race, and this section could have been dedicated to Racing Bulls. However, they messed up Ricciardo's race, so it is just Yuki for here. But Ricciardo did have a good race considering the misfortune he was dealt with. Now, onto the most mid driver this weekend, and in my opinion, we have Charles Leclerc, and at least he's not on the losers list anymore, so small improvements. But he did have a good race, so let's hope he starts fighting again. And there you have it, those are my winners and losers for this year's Hungarian Grand Prix. Hand me a cigarette. Overall, a pretty good weekend, so now we have to set our sights for Spa, and I'm calling it now, the race will be boring. Shocker, I know. Also, let us look at my predictions I made in the weekend, and the pole sitter, I got wrong. Moving on to the race predictions, I got the podium wrong. Finally, for my random prediction, I'm giving myself some credit because there was a crash in the free practice sessions, just not FP3, so they were able to qualify. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, consider leaving a like and subscribing since it would greatly help me in delivering better content. And let me know in the comments who your winners and losers were, and as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.